After having held the Prime Minister's position for just 44 days in 2022, Liz Truss resigned from the post after a failed budget and market turmoil. Following this, Rishi Sunak became Prime Minister in October 2022 when he pitched himself as a stable pair of hands to replace Truss. Rishi Sunak, in his pre election campaign, pledged to restore trust, rebuild the economy, and reunite the country. He said that his values were patriotism, fairness, hard work, and pledged to crack down on gender neutral language. In January 2023, Sunak outlined five key priorities: reducing inflation, growing the economy, cutting debt, reducing NHS waiting lists, and stopping the votes, and expected voters to hold his government and himself to account on delivering those goals. How successfully did Sunak manage his premiership to achieve his pledged targets of reviving the economy, halting illegal immigration, lowering inflation and the jobless rate? Throughout this video, we will take a close look at these issues and the Sunak government's efforts to achieve its declared goals. Hang around till the end of this video and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Great Britain is entering this election year with unacceptably high levels of poverty. The current government lacks any commitment or creative policies to end poverty in the UK. It's been nearly 20 years and 6 prime ministers since poverty last fell for a long period. Since conservative led governments took over in 2010, poverty levels have barely changed. Poverty consistently dropped during the first half of the last Labour administration, but rose in the second half due to Tony Blair's war on Iraq. Poverty rates are back to pre pandemic levels because middle income households are earning more and COVID 19 support has ended. Children still have the highest poverty rates, while pensioners and working age adults without children have the lowest average income. The current levels of poverty are around 50% higher than they were in the 1970s. In UK, households are having to take desperate measures to get by. Inflation is still running at twice its target level. Benefits are taking time to catch up with rising prices. Employment is starting to fall. Earnings are still below their 2008 levels, and housing costs are increasing rapidly. More than 1 in 5 people in the UK, that is 22%, were in poverty as per 2021-2022 reports, that is 14.4 million people. Over 12 million people faced very deep poverty at least once between 2017 and 2021. The UK faced almost 3 years of rising inflation and 4 difficult years since COVID 19 began. The Sunak government made little progress on reducing poverty, with deep poverty and destitution increasing. The government couldn't protect Britain's poorest families from the biggest drop in living standards in 60 years. Economists warn that 1.3 million more people will fall into absolute poverty next year. For the first time outside of a recession, more households in Britain are earning less than 60% of the median income from 2010 to 2011. This shows how much family budgets are being hit by the war in Ukraine and the pandemic's impact on living costs. Prime Minister Sunak reiterated by saying he could not solve every problem and insisted that measures such as a 5% cut to fuel duty, a rise in the national insurance threshold, and the promise of an income tax cut in 2 years' time would make a difference. However, the Labour said Sunak was driving up the tax burden to the highest level in 70 years while doing little to help the poorest in society. High inflation is one of the main factors behind the ongoing cost of living crisis in the UK. After the COVID 19 pandemic, global supply chains struggled to meet the renewed demand for goods and services. Food and energy prices, which were already high, increased further in 2022. Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 brought an end to the era of cheap gas flowing to European markets from Russia. The war has also disrupted global food markets, with both Russia and Ukraine being major exporters of cereal crops. As a result of these factors, inflation is high across Europe and the rest of the world. With global energy prices spiraling, the UK's energy price cap has increased substantially. The cap, which limits what suppliers can charge consumers, reached 3,549 British pounds per year in October 2022, compared with 1,277 pounds a year earlier. Along with soaring food costs, high energy bills have hit UK households hard, especially lower income ones that spend more of their earnings on housing costs. As a result of these factors, UK households experienced their biggest fall in living standards in decades in 2022-23, with households' disposable income also expected to fall in 23 and 24. Inflation had remained above the Bank of England's 2% target, partly because of high energy and food prices. It has finally hit the Bank of England's 2% target, but the bank has decided to keep rates on hold at 5.25% for the seventh time, meaning they remain at their highest level for 16 years. The Consumer Prices Index fell in May due to a slowdown in price rises in a number of spending categories, including food and soft drinks, recreation and cultural, and furniture and household goods. Inflation has fallen significantly since it hit 11.1% in October 2022, which was the highest rate for 40 years. However, that doesn't mean prices are falling, just that they are rising less quickly. Food prices are still 25% higher than at the beginning of 2022, and petrol prices are increasing again. However, the CPI for the last 3 months of 2023 was 4.2%, so Mr. Sunak met his pledge. The UK unemployment rate was 4.3%, with 1.49 million people aged 16 and over unemployed. Unemployment increased by 103,000 over the past year. Additionally, 9.38 million people aged 16 to 64 were not working or looking for work, making the current inactivity rate at 22.1%. Unemployment in the UK increased due to several factors. Economic slowdown caused the job market show signs of stalling, with fewer job openings and more people losing jobs. Apart from the above factors, outsourcing has contributed to rising unemployment in the UK, particularly among low skilled workers. Outsourcing often involves moving jobs to countries like India and China, where labor is cheaper. This has led to job losses in the UK, especially in sectors like manufacturing and customer service, causing job displacement. As per latest reports, 48% companies now outsource their work. The competition from outsourced labor has put forward pressure on wages for remaining jobs, making it harder for workers to find well paying employment due to wage pressure. As companies outsource certain tasks, the demand for specific skills within the UK has decreased, leading to a mismatch where workers' skills no longer align with available jobs, causing a skill mismatch. Overall, while outsourcing has led to cost savings for businesses, it has also resulted in higher unemployment and wage stagnation for certain segments of the workforce in the UK. The current government has been bleak on this front. Also, the lingering effects of the COVID 19 pandemic continued to affect businesses, leading to layoffs and reduced hiring. These factors combined have led to a rise in the unemployment rate. The Sunak government has been gloomy when it comes to employment crisis, and current figures are the worst since the pandemic. The number of employed people has fallen by 207,000 since the end of 2023, while unemployment has increased by 190,000, the data showed. Sunak, whose pitch to voters rests on the idea that the economy is improving under his management, can only point to a robust increase in wages, adjusting for inflation. The number of inactive workers due to long term sickness rose to a new record high of 2.3 million. Sunak has promised to tighten sickness benefit rules if re-elected, a reform his Conservative Party has said would eventually save £12 billion, that is $15.3 billion a year, a goal that economists think would be hard to achieve. Homelessness is a big issue affecting hundreds of thousands of people across the UK, and in recent times, the numbers have only been increasing in 2024. In UK, you are homeless if you have no legal right to stay in your accommodation. It's either unsafe or in poor condition. You can't access it, or you live in a mobile home or houseboat. The cost of living crisis and the housing crisis in the UK means more people are facing homelessness. New research shows at least 309,000 people in England will spend Christmas without a home, including almost 140,000 children. This is a stark increase of 14%, that is 38,100 people in 1 year. According to data, 1 in 182 people in England are homeless today. The research shows homelessness has risen rapidly in just 12 months. Over 3,000 people are sleeping rough on any given night, and 279,400 are living in temporary accommodation, most of whom are families. London comes out worst with 1 in 51 people homeless in the capital. Newham has the highest rate with 1 in 20 people homeless. The number of people homeless in the city has risen 11% from 150,000 people to 167,000 people. Homeless deaths have only been counted in recent years. The Dying Homeless Project counted the deaths of 796 people in just 18 months. The project recorded 1,313 deaths across the UK in 2022. That represented a 2% rise compared to 2021, when 1,286 people died. According to the group, 36% of deaths were related to drugs and alcohol, and 10% died by suicide. The project expects to report more of the same in 2024, and the Sunak government is not addressing this issue. Overall, more than 4,000 deaths across the UK have been counted by the Dying Homeless Project since 2019. A coalition of homelessness and women's organizations in London performed their first national census across England and found that the number of people sleeping rough could be as much as 9 times higher than the official rough sleeping count. In the 41 areas covered in the census, frontline teams found 816 female rough sleepers compared to just 189 covered in the official count. Despite the economic odds back home, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has significantly increased financial and military aid to Ukraine in response to the ongoing conflict with Russia. The UK has pledged £242 million, which is approximately 309 million US dollars in financial aid to Ukraine. This package includes humanitarian and energy assistance aimed at supporting Ukraine's resilience and recovery efforts. The UK has committed to its largest ever military aid package for Ukraine, totaling £500 million. This package includes 400 vehicles, including protected mobility and armored vehicles, 60 boats, including offshore raiding craft and dive boats, 1,600 strike and air defense missiles, 4 million rounds of small arms ammunition. Additionally, the UK has announced a £2.5 billion military aid package for the upcoming year, which includes long-range missiles, air defense systems, and artillery shells. This package also features a significant investment in drones, with £200 million allocated for their development and deployment. Prime Minister Sunak has emphasized the importance of supporting Ukraine, stating that Ukraine's security is vital for the security of Europe as a whole. The UK remains one of Ukraine's closest partners, providing substantial military and humanitarian support to help Ukraine defend itself against the Russian aggression. The UK government has also faced pressure to suspend arms sales to Israel, especially following incidents like the killing of seven aid workers by an Israeli strike in Gaza. Despite this, the UK continues to support Israel's right to self defense while also calling for adherence to international human law. The UK, under Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, has provided both financial and military aid to Israel, particularly in the context of ongoing conflict with Hamas in Gaza. The UK has pledged £9.7 million for humanitarian aid, equipment, and expertise to help establish a maritime aid corridor between Cyprus and Gaza. This aid is part of a broader effort to support humanitarian needs in the region. While the UK is not the largest arms supplier to Israel, it still plays a significant role. In 2022, the UK's arms export to Israel were valued at £42 million. Since 2008, the UK has licensed arms worth over £574 million to Israel, including military technology, aircraft, helicopters, drones, grenades, bombs, and missiles. As we draw to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on the journey ahead. As British elections draw closer, the winner faces a landscape fraught with challenges. From the ongoing inflation to the potential rise in homelessness and the rising unemployment, new leadership will be fraught with challenges. Can re electing Rishi Sunak save Britain from its economic struggles? If elected, can the Labour Party navigate these complex issues and reduce inflation, unemployment, and homelessness? The world is watching as British elections are nearing next month. Stay informed and engaged with the latest developments in current affairs and international relations. Subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media, and join the conversation. Together, we can understand and influence the future of global peace and stability.